Hey guys, I thought that I would go ahead and share how my um, second sleep study went. Um, I did my first sleep study um, like maybe a month ago, and it was a split sleep study. So, and what that means is that they I went to sleep and they woke me up about halfway through, and they had determined that I did indeed need to use the CPAP machine because of my sleep apnea. And then, so they put me on it for the rest of the night. And while they have you on it, they are adjusting the air pressure because they're looking for the one that will work best for you so that you are not snoring anymore. And I guess just sort of the best setting so that you are not having any episodes where you stop breathing. So I did that sleep study and then ended up going to the doctor, who then said, "You need another sleep study because during the time when you were wearing the CPAP machine, to the time where the sleep study ended, we were not able to find your correct setting. So we need to do one where you sleep with the machine all night long." Um, so I went back last night to um, have it with to start with the CPAP machine, and I almost I wasn't sure I even wanted to make a video because um, I wouldn't say that it was a very pleasant experience this time, and I just didn't want to discourage someone who was thinking about going to have one. Um, I would say the first one that I had was actually a really positive experience, and I think that was mostly due to the nurse who um, was with me and who I interacted with that night. Um, he was just so nice and caring and just made me feel really comfortable. And this time, the nurse that I had, a different guy, I did not feel any of those things. And I think more than that, the issue was that I didn't feel like he listened to me. And that became an issue throughout the night. So, to go into more detail, you have your own room. Um, and I was sort of in a different area than the last time I went on that floor at Houston Methodist. And, um, you know, you go in and fill out some paperwork, and then they have you change into your nighttime clothes. And he came in and put the sensors all over where he needs to put them. And I even noticed some differences in the way that he put them on. Um, like the guy from before had me like there's something to go on my legs. He actually had me like thread them through my shorts so that it was close to my body. And this guy just kind of left them loose and hanging, which kind of became an issue through the night. So anytime I moved, it was pulling on those sensors on my legs. And on one side, it was like he put tape on top of it, um, which the other guy didn't the first time. And so it was like pulling on my leg. And I don't have a lot of leg hair, but it still was really uncomfortable. Um, it just, again, just even with that, it was just sort of a different experience. So I got in bed and he was putting the mask on me. And we started out okay with that. And I wasn't any trouble for me to go to sleep. In fact, um, we started a bit later, which um, that was an issue because I was already starting to fall asleep. Like when he finally got to me to, because I'm assuming that there were other people there as well. He, when I got to the hospital, he came down and got me and another lady, and she went to on the other side. So I didn't see anyone else in the on the side that I was on, but I'm assuming he must have had other people that he was preparing for this as well. Um, but it took for him a long time to come um, before he before we started the actual sleep study. So by the time that happened, I had been falling asleep already. And so when I got in bed and he does um, they kind of, um, what do I say? Well, he's looking at you at the camera and he's telling you to, he's checking the sensors. So you have to move your arms and stuff and different parts of your body so that make sure that the sensors are working. And then I went to sleep with the mask. And I'm sure they started off at a lower setting. And I was fine. So at some point during the night, um, I woke up. I have no concept of time or what time it was. My glasses were off. My cell phone was beside the table, but I didn't look at it at the time. So he came in and came to adjust the mask. And by this time, the mask is up to a high enough setting that it's really kicking in some air into, into my nose and mouth. Um, and I guess it was enough pressure that it was causing a seal, which, like, when you put the mask on, it needs to make a seal with your nose and mouth. Um, but the seal's been broken, and it's like blowing air out of leaks in the where the mask is supposed to be sealed up against you. So that was my issue the whole night. So he came in and was adjusting it and trying to. Part of it was because of my hair, and trying to get the straps situated over my hair, which would not be an issue. Like I could have maybe put my hair in a ponytail or something. But I knew from last time that it needed to be down because they were putting the sensors all through my head. So I would have, if I could have, put my hair up in a ponytail or something, which would have helped with putting the mask around my face because I could have pulled the hair up out of the way, but I couldn't because of all of the sensors and the wires. Um, so he kept pulling and adjusting, and so he came in probably a couple times. Like I would fall back asleep once the mask was adjusted, and then I'd wake up, and I could tell when more air was being pushed through because it would wake me up. And so he'd come back in and adjust, and then he switched out the mask because so much air was escaping. And then, because I'm a mouth breather, he then put a chin strap on, which he put like right across right here, which is where I had two sensors, I guess, to try to also hold those on. But it wasn't completely like right here. It would slide sometimes, and then it would come off instead of putting it further down here where it would stay snug. But when he would put that on, then it would move my mask up, and then all of a sudden I have the leakage from when the air is coming out is coming right into my eyes, and so I would adjust it because it couldn't I couldn't keep it where it was even after he tried to adjust it. So this kept happening. He'd come in and move it, and then finally I was like, okay, the problem is that the air is leaking out through my eyes, and it's uncomfortable, and I can't. And he would just say, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me, I'm sorry, excuse me. But he wasn't listening to what I was saying. And so he came back in and adjusted. I don't know, it must have been at least 4 or 5 times that this happened. where he just come in and readjust, and he was saying, "Don't touch it, don't touch the mat," and I'm like, I I have to touch it. It's not staying where you put it, and where you put it is incredibly uncomfortable. But he wasn't listening. That was my biggest problem. Um, and so I have no idea how I was able to fall back asleep because several times it was just uncomfortable. Um, and finally, I think the last time we finally were able to get an okay seal, but it was still like I just had to keep my eyes closed. I couldn't open my eyes, which I mean, for a sleep study, you're obviously supposed to be going to sleep, but the fact of not having the option of opening my eyes was freaking me out. But so I just had to sit there and just kind of calm myself because I was like, I do not want him to come back in. I'm trying to get this over with because I'm sick of this. And so I still had this point, had no time, no idea what time it was. And so finally, I woke up one last time and I'm thinking, oh God, what time is it? I hope this is over because I do not, want him to. So he did come back in and then he came in and said the study was over and it was time for checkout and stuff. He's going to take it all off. And I was so glad because um, I stayed on my back most of the night, which is not how I sleep. Sometimes I fall asleep on my back, but I usually, when I go into like for real sleep, I lay on my side. And after one of the times he came in, it was just because I had moved. I was trying to get in position to go to my side, but because of the way he had put the wires on, then they had apparently started to come off, or the sensor was working. So I felt like I could not really get comfortable during this whole thing, which that was not an issue last time. Like I could move either way. He told me the last time to to be on my back, and then throughout the night I could, move over onto my side or whatever was comfortable. I never got comfortable, and at one point I woke up because my back was hurting because I had laid on my back for most of the night, which is not how I usually sleep. Um, so I don't know if at this point if they were able to find the correct setting for me from as far as air pressure. I asked him and he was like, we'll see what the doctor says or something. So he would not really tell me because I just asked straight out, were you able to find the air pressure that I'm going to need for my machine? Um, so that's one issue, that I don't really know about. Um, and the truth is, apparently, if they do find a setting, it's a lot of air that's blowing into my nose, and it's not, from my experience, it's not comfortable at all, and I don't know how in the world I'm supposed to get comfortable doing it. Like when it's at a lower pressure, I can, it's not an issue. I can sleep with it. But when it kicks in and it's going, and the air pressure is high and it's blowing pretty hard, it's to me that feels like a lot to get used to. And then if I have to do a chin strap too, which I mean, if I have to, I feel like I could get used to that. But the whole getting a good seal, like I really have to find a mask that works for me. And I feel like the ones that he tried on me were not working for me well at all. Um, so I'm glad that it's over because I have been waiting and ready to do the second one, but I've been anticipating and hoping that this would be like the beginning of the end. That we would find out what whatever the air pressure that I needed, and I could start CPAP therapy. But now I don't know. I don't know if this is going to be the end of it or not, or what comes next, or I know that other there are alternatives to CPAP therapy. There's even like surgery and that sort of thing. Of course, it's not something that appeals to me, but um, like I said, I just don't know if um, this was or is this is going to be the route for me. So that's a bit frustrating. Um, and when I came home, well, I was wide awake once it was over. But when I got home, I, I did I slept like I was still tired. So that was different from my first experience as well. And part of that is probably because of how many times I was had to be where I woke up throughout the night for him to come in and be messing with this mask on me. Um, and I personally think that it probably wouldn't have happened as many times is if he listened to what I was trying to say, instead of just like trying to force it. Like at one point he was trying to fix the mask back on because it had come up because I had moved it because so much air was escaping, so he had to come in and he was pushing it back on, and he's like got half of my nose on the seal, and I'm like, no, you don't have it right. Like, and I was moving it over, and he's like, don't touch, and he just kept saying, I'm sorry, or that, which, like, I don't want to hear you say I'm sorry if you still doing the same thing. So by the end of it, I was just like ready to cuss this dude out, um, because he was missing, he was totally missing any sort of like compassion or just like when you have like a good nurse or a good doctor who actually like seems to care, they listen to what you have to say, and it puts you at ease, and I never felt any of that, and I didn't feel like him saying I'm sorry over and over again was genuine. It was just like, okay, I gotta do this, let me do this, and like I don't really care what you have to say, even though you're trying to I'm trying to tell you, but you're not listening. So, even down to when it was over and it took the sensors off, and so he had to rip the tape off of my legs, which took off hair too, that's not fun. Um, and I don't, feel like I'm just being a whiny baby about it, but um, just in comparison to before, that wasn't an issue. And then, they take the sensors out and all through my hair, and it's like this glue stuff or whatever that they use. And I just remember the dude before gave me like these little alcoholic packs or whatever to just even in help trying to get it out. And he told me, go get a towel and wipe it out. This guy didn't offer anything extra, didn't seem to care. He was just like, okay, let me know when you're ready so that we can go. And by that time I was ready to get out. But I did get up and get a towel and try to wipe out and get a lot of the glue out. But I still like can feel some spots where I've got to do it some more because it's still something in there. And the guy before, with my locks was really pretty good at making sure to put the sensors sort of in a part, which made it a lot easier. And I don't feel like this dude did that. And so I'm still kind of finding spots where it is. And especially like, and I know I wiped in this area, but where my glasses sit, they put some right there so that it's supposed to detect any eye movement throughout the night. And so I can feel where my glasses are that there's like some sticky stuff still there. So I've got to do that some more. because I don't want to fully have to wash my hair because then I'd have to retwist it. And so I have an appointment for a retwist in like a week or so. And so I'm just dealing it with the best I know how. So I've been praying and hoping that this would be the end. But I'm a bit worried that this saga continues. I'm so tired of being tired all the time. It definitely affects my life, and I'm just ready for it to be over. So, I mean, there's a possibility that this could be, I guess I should be and try to stay optimistic about it until I know more. But it was disappointing. So I felt like I was treated so well the first time that has a lot to do with why I feel the way that I do now. So that's that, and we continue and see what happens next. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.